Okay, here we are again. With respect to Friday's meeting at the White House, appeasement in response to authoritarian aggression is cowardice. Period. Churchill would consider you pathetic. You are cowards. Now, unfortunately, I wish it were as simple as cowardice, but watching that Friday, it's clear to me that it's actually worse. For both the president and vice president, it's obvious that you are ignorant of the fact that diplomacy has failed with Putin, that you maintain a fantasy that your presence will result in something different over the long term, and you're ignorant of history regarding appeasement of dictatorships having proven to be failed policy. But what's worse, it's obvious that you are granting consent of a tyrant's aggression towards their neighbor. You're granting consent to a psychopath violently taking whatever they want, spending their country's treasure and soldiers' lives to do so. By insisting on making a deal that doesn't include a return to pre invasion borders and Russian restitution for the damage they've caused, you're effectively telling the world that what they did was acceptable. Not only is insisting on making a deal instead of holding Putin accountable a staggering example of cowardice, it's also an incredible sign of weakness and hypocrisy. Thought experiment. Mexico decides it wants Texas back and annexes it through violence. Are you seriously so weak as to suggest your response would be a negotiation and allowing them to keep everything south of Austin? The Texan families who lost loved ones fighting the invasion, you're going to look them in the eye and say you're rewarding Mexico with the bottom third of the state? You're going to tell the companies that have assets in San Antonio and Houston that those assets now belong to the state of Mexico? Horseshit. I suspect you'd say, it would never happen. We're the strongest country in the world and would destroy any Mexican invasion in a day. They wouldn't gamble with an invasion of the US because they know we hold the stronger hand, which is true. However, it points out what is truly disgusting with your approach to Ukraine. You reward strength at the expense of law and basic human rights. The message you've just sent the world is if you're strong enough, go ahead and steal from your neighbors whatever you want. We won't hold you accountable. In fact, we'll enable you by forcing your victims into making concessions, price gouge them of their country's wealth by dangling a carrot of security in front of them, and blaming them for further loss of life if they don't just bend over and take it. You're turning your back on our core values of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And even worse, you're not using our strength to promote those values around the world as a shining sword for good. You're withholding it and using it as leverage to take advantage of the victims. You've turned it into a dull, tarnished tool of exploitation. It's not just Churchill who has a problem with you. All the brave souls who stormed the beaches of Normandy and dropped behind enemy lines with the American flag in their hearts look down on you with disgust. But all of this still isn't the worst thing we learned from Friday's meeting. If it wasn't obvious before, this puts your comments about taking Greenland and the Panama Canal in full perspective. Your true colors are on full display. You'll reward a tyrant for their crimes because you aspire to be like them. You're signaling to the world exactly what you expect them to do should you use our strength to commit the same crimes yourself. The United States, the world's oldest standing democracy and beacon of freedom from oppression, cannot look the other way and allow tyrants, foreign or domestic, free rein to bully the rest of us. We need to resist Putin or anyone else's aggression and hold them accountable, including restitution. We need to resist any further discussion normalizing the use of strength and willful neglect of the rule of law or as a tool to extort the weak. JD Vance and Marco Rubio, you fucking know better. And you know better. If you and the other people in the administration do nothing to fix this problem, you are complicit. And with the bootlicking I saw on Friday, you are cowards.
You are a coward.
You are a coward.
You are a coward.
Mm,
Oh, and by the way, the term is rare earths, you idiot.